it's Annette Green here with Graphic 45. Have you heard the news? Le Romantique has returned. Graphic 45's Le Romantique collection is back. It is a deluxe collector's edition from way back in the day, and you can see I have just a few pieces left here to play with, but I created a project to share with you today and basically used just a few sheets from the new collection, the Graphic 45 ornate metal corners, and the peach rose bouquet, which this is all I have left after what I used it for. Also used some buttons, some lace, some ribbon, and a few other little things that I'll tell you about as we go through the video. This is a tutorial, so stay tuned and you can make one too. Alright, let's talk about the project. This is, and I didn't mention chipboard, but Graphic 45 now has chipboard sheets in 12 by 12, and I did use that as well. This is, what shall I call this? This is a, it's a card, it's a frame, it's a home decor piece. You could stand up, you could put a picture in here. It could be a nice anniversary present, a wedding gift, a bridal shower gift, Mother's Day gift even, really. It doesn't say bride necessarily as much as it conveys love and couples and relationships and romance. So really that could go toward a lot of things, or just a feminine theme. Alright, so I am going to start with some fairly thin chipboard. This is Graphic 45's craft chipboard. It's just sturdy enough, not too thick, easy to cut on your paper trimmer. And so I've cut two pieces at 6 inches by 8 inches. And then I've cut one strip that's 1/2 inch by 8 inches. And as you can see, I've already started to put some of this gold architectural washi tape around the edges, and that's just so because I'm not wrapping any paper around. I don't want to see that craft edge when the project is complete, so we'll see just that little hint of gold instead of the craft edge. So I'm going to go around all my edges and do that. So now I want to join my two covers and my spine, and so I've already decided on this patterned paper, and this is 1 3/4 inch by 8, and this is going to be showing from the outside spine. This is my inside spine, so I'm going to glue this right down the center and then attach these two guys. Okay, so just a little tip. I use this 3-in-1 glue from Beacon, which I love. It works great on everything. But one thing you do need to know is you have to give it a little extra drying time if you are using it on this washi tape, because washi is a little slick and tries to be a little resistant, but as long as you burnish really well and give it a good 5 to 10 minutes to set and dry, it'll work perfectly. So next I'm going to take my bone folder and gently score right on the paper in those open spaces between the spine and the cover and back cover. And so now it should easily fold over very nicely. And there's my spine and front and back cover. All right, so for the inside, this is the inside front cover, inside back cover. So the inside front, I am going to put this piece here. this is from this sheet called Devoted. Has this nice kind of marble looking back. And I cut this large thing out of here, okay? And that was in there too, and I cut that away. I can use that for something else, but I like the opening in this for a frame, for a photo, or for my image that I'm going to use. So I cut that out, and as you can see, it's 8 inches tall, so it reaches top to bottom, but the side edges, I just kind of followed the actual imagery and cut it kind of wavy and then inked the edges. And for this whole project, I used frayed burlap distress ink. So it's kind of a pale, almost golden brown. All right, so I wanted to put these folks inside of my little frame like this. However, they come from this sheet here. It's called Sweetheart of Mine and has that on the back. However, they were just a little bit too small to fit in there fully. And you could hardly tell, but if I didn't do what I did next, you could tell. And that is, I took some of this black enamored embrace. I cut a little piece to go behind it. See, that's the back of that. A little bit extra, like 1/4 of an inch bigger than the photo or the image. And now it's going to fit behind my little frame nicely. So I'm going to glue that in there, and then I'm going to glue that on there. All right, and that's how that looks. And you can't really tell that that little patch job was done in there. All right, so this right side, I'm going to leave this be for a minute, even though I'm going to put more over here. But this right side is where I want to make my little frame. So let's talk about this die for a minute. This is, like I mentioned, the Happy Frame die. I wrote it down. I hope that's right. I will put the link below where you can find this. But basically, it cuts out a piece this long, 8 inches long, and it's intended to, and it has the score lines and everything, and it's intended to make an 8x8 frame. However, you can easily cut the blunt end down here, not the one with the little mitered corner, any width that you want. So if you want a 4x6 or 5x8 or 6x8 in this case, you can do that. You just trim it down. And you can see how easily those two came together. So I am going to put just a little bit of glue at all these little corner joints. As I'm gluing it into place, you'll see how this is all going to come together like so. And then we're going to cover this with paper and make it all pretty. All right, before you glue that in there, I just realized that I had meant to put the gold washi tape around the outside edges of this. So as you can see, I've put some more double-sided tape here. This one is by Elizabeth Craft Designs, and I like it because it's 3/8 of an inch. So it's just perfect. It doesn't hang over the edge. I don't have to trim anything. So I'm lining that all the way around just to make sure that my washi will stick really good, because it's too late for me to wrap it around the back side of the frame since I have already glued the frame down. But if you are doing this, and hopefully you're watching the video through first, go ahead and put that washi so it wraps around the side and the back. And then you won't have to do this step. All right, now, so yours won't look like this, obviously. Mine comes around to the front. Yours will wrap around to the back, like I mentioned. But for this inside edge here, which I probably also would have made gold, I think it's going to look very pretty if I do black in here. So I have cut 2 strips of this same black that we're using for the frame. That's this paper. 2 strips are 5 7/8 tall by 3/8 wide. And then these 2 pieces, which will go here and here, they are just about 3 7/8 by the 3/8. So I'm going to glue those inside of there. Okay, good. There we go. All right, so the frame, like I mentioned, this is Enamored Embrace. I've used this black side for my frame. I know that my frame is 6x8, so I cut the paper 6x8. And then I also know that my frame is 1 inch wide. So I just cut an opening in the middle so that I have a 1 inch wide frame all the way around. So rather than messing with this measure, Just worry about the fact that this is 1 inch in all the way around to cut that opening. All right, my frame is coming along nicely, and as you can see, I am adding some decorative hardware to the corners. These are the Graphic 45 metal, ornate metal corners. And as you can see, you get some different styles in there. This one kind of wraps around a lip of a frame or a box, and these are just flat on the back side. But as you can tell, the original color is more of this brass kind of color. Let's get some light on the subject. And I have made them look more little shabby, a little gold. And how I achieved that was basically by starting with some acrylic paint. This is just vintage white in the folk art. They call it a multi-surface satin acrylic paint. I don't think it matters too much, but I did just a little whitewash of that. Let that dry. Buffed with my finger some of this Prima Art Alchemy metallic wax, vintage gold. And then while that was still kind of tacky, I sprayed some of my Distress mica spray in the tarnished brass over the top just to give it a little bit of shimmer. So I am using Fabri-Tac, my favorite new metal glue by Beacon, to attach these corners all the way around. While I'm waiting for my metal glue to dry, I went ahead and did some fussy cuts from the signature page in this collection. This little butterfly was up here, so I fussy cut that one, and then these two were down in this lower right corner here. So I cut them out, I put some foam tape on the back, and the most important thing to know about this, if you're going to put anything over on this side, is to make sure that you know that when you close the lid, it's going to land in this area. It's going to recess down in there, and it's not going to bump into the actual frame itself. So I have checked mine. I know that if I stay very close to this inner black corner, that I'm good, I'm clear. So I'm going to peel and stick those guys down now. All right, there we go. And that's nice in there because there's that large black area that kind of needed a little bit of filling. So there they are, they're popped up, and when I shut my little frame, everything shuts nice and flat and is not interrupted by those butterflies because they sink down into this area over here. All right, so we're putting the pretty papers on our back cover and our front cover. We are picking the same as the spine paper, and that is Sending Flowers. So these pieces are just a tiny bit smaller than 6 by 8. Before though that we glue these on, I wanted to put a little ribbon closure so that I could keep everything shut on my little frame. So I'm going to go ahead and use just a little bit of fabric glue. And I've marked the center point here, top and bottom. A little bit of Fabri-Tac there. And just about 1.25 inches of the ribbon. And I just always bring it around and make sure they are lining up, and that looks pretty good. So I'll give that a second to dry. Now I'm going to use a whole bunch of glue, and I'm going to glue this over the top of this, and I'll be right back. This pretty lady was cut out of the signature page. She measures 5.5 by 7.5. And rather than just sticking her on the cover like that, I think I would like to pop her up a little bit. And instead of using foam tape, I have doubled up some more chipboard. If you use the Graphic 45, it's about 3 layers thick. I used a thicker board, so I just used 2. Glued them together and then edged them in the gold washi again. This is all you're going to see right here, so you can really not worry about being terribly neat with this step. So she's going to get glued on there, and then that's going to get raised up on there, which I think is going to give it a very nice look. Before I do that though, I want to add a little bit of lace on the front of her, I think right about here. So I'm going to do that first so that I can fold a little bit around the back side before I glue it onto the chipboard. So I'll do that real quick here. All right, my cover is coming along. I've just laid the peach roses in place for now just to get an idea of where I want them to be. And I've also cut apart about 4, maybe I'll cut some more, but for now just 4 leaves from one of the leaf stems. And I'm going to work those in as I see, you know, as they're needed. I didn't use one of the larger roses. It may come back in there, but for now I think I'm happy with this arrangement. So I'm just going to use some super thick tacky glue, which grabs very quickly, and get these on here. All right, raise your hand if you've got a jar of buttons. This is one jar of buttons that are ivory and white and kind of light tan. I have many jars like this of different colors. So it was easy for me to kind of pick and choose and mix and match. I'm going to add some of these buttons on the front here. So I've been kind of laying them out to get an idea of where I want them to go. And once again, I'm going to use my super thick, just because I know that it dries clear, it grabs fast, and I don't have to, you know, I don't have to worry about it anymore. Once I stick it down there, it's good to go, and I can move on. And I don't use very much. I don't have to. It kind of bothers me that I cut off the man over here when I was trimming out this paper. See his little face right there? So we're just going to cover these guys up because I don't really care for how that looks. Kind of like so. There. So that's better, right? Don't you agree? I remembered I had this old photo of my parents on their wedding day, so I thought this would be a great photo to put in here. So I've just backed it to some paper to give it a little bit of a frame, and I'm going to glue that in there. Kind of a neat effect, kind of makes it frame out a little bit better. All right, and then as some finishing touches, I thought that I would add just a few more buttons. And then one more postage stamp. Okay, everybody, that is it. That is the project. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll give it a try and get out there and get this new collection, new returning collection. So beautiful. And let's see what you can make with it. Thanks so much again for watching. Have a great day.